Hey class, I wanted to give you a brief lecture on Karl Barth this week as you're preparing to write a short paper about him and study the larger movement, which is Neo-Orthodoxy. Neo-Orthodoxy is a completely different animal than what you are used to. It's difficult to understand and it's difficult to interpret, and hopefully this lecture will help you understand why that is exactly. Um, First of all, Neo-Orthodoxy is a very broad theological school, and Barth isn't exactly like the poster child of it. In fact, he would say that he's not Neo-Orthodoxy, but his thought does kind of give you a marking post by which to understand Neo-Orthodoxy in its whole. So we'll just talk about Karl Barth rather than the whole of Neo-Orthodoxy today. Make it a little easier for you. First thing you need to know as you're reading him is that he comes out of liberalism and philosophical thought, and most importantly out of Europe, not out of America. Because of this, he thinks and writes in a way that doesn't exactly connect with American Christianity. You'll read him, you'll read about him, and you'll kind of feel like you're running in circles, and you'll kind of feel like, what in the world is this guy even talking about? I can't understand it. Part of the reason for that is because he thinks in a completely different way than you. He was trained in Europe's best schools, he grew up in liberalism, he's highly philosophical, and he reads all of the other Christian theologians from the last, 5, 6, 700 years. He's interacting with Schleiermacher and Nietzsche and all sorts of other guys. So he's not really interested in talking about the Bible as much as what people in the past have said about the Bible. So that kind of gives you a backdrop of why Barth is difficult to understand. He doesn't talk like us, he doesn't think like us, and so in order to understand him and the larger Neo-Orthodoxy movement, you kind of have to suspend your Protestant American thought and just kind of let him explain himself. I'll include a link just to a 15-minute discussion that he did at Princeton in the 1960s to kind of give you a snapshot of how he writes, how he thinks, how he reasons. But really, once again, don't feel frustrated if you don't get him the first time around. He is an immensely elusive character to understand. He wrote tons and tons and tons of literature. There's plenty of people that have their PhD in Barth and still have a lot of questions. And part of that is because he's just okay with contradictions. He's okay with things not making sense, which we might not be. So, once again, as you're reading him, as you're studying, just kind of let go of your preconceived notions and just let him speak for himself. Looking forward to reading your papers on Karl Barth, and if you do have any questions about him, feel free to email me. I'll do my best to answer them, but, like I said, he's elusive and difficult to understand. So, have a good week, and we're almost done with the course. Keep going, guys.